Oh my God! It is full of stars. Yes. 2001 Space Odyssey. Let's get right down to it, shall we? Let's plug it in to Samsung KS8000. No. What TV is this? It's so big. I'm not telling you what TV this is. Go figure that out, what TV this is. It's a big TV. Let's go jump into the OLED. And let's try out 2001 Space Odyssey. I will give you my settings. I will give you my settings. Why? Because it's full of stars. Oh my God, it is full of stars. It is. It is full of stars. And we're going to close the tray and we're going to go ahead and watch 2001 Space Odyssey. Oh, look, it works. It works. Warner Brothers. Dolby Vision. Oh, look at this. The user interface looks beautiful, man. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look how beautiful that it looks. Let's select the scene. Let's check it out. I'm going to go select a certain scene and then I'm going to talk about what settings I'm using for Dolby Vision on Space Odyssey 4K UHD Blu-ray. You know, this is exactly how I feel when I wake up in the morning. When I see that my videos are in 360p and I go back again and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting for this video to be processed at least at 720p and I wake up again and it's still 360p, still 360p. And I'm like, how long am I gonna wait for the 360p to turn into 720p and then 720p to turn into 1080p? How long am I gonna wait? And of course, I get very happy, like a happy maverick, when I see finally that my videos are in 1080p. Like a happy maverick, look at me. I'm like a happy maverick, like when I see that it's finally 1080p. Finally you reach 1080p. Alright, let's get serious. Let's talk about this movie. Well, first and foremost, it's important that you guys remember, this is a very old movie. A super, super old movie. Late 1960s. Okay? And the idea that you can bring such an old movie like this to a 4K and Dolby Vision format and have one and only Christopher Nolan take the negative of this film and then process it and restore it to such a beautiful, beautiful picture quality here. It's I'm speechless, you know, honestly, guys. Like this, I know that this background, it's in a studio. It's a painted matte finish. It's in a studio. There's a lights and everything. I get it. That's how it was filmed back then at the studio in London where Stanley Kubrick worked. But still, you know, when you see this movie in 4K and Dolby Vision, you're just gonna you're gonna say to yourself, wow, if this is possible now, that we can have a transfer like this, imagine the transfer of this movie we're gonna have 30 years from now. Dolby Vision here is just how should I put this? Colorful. There's colors. You know, the one thing you have to remember about the HDR on these old movies like Alien, Predator, and especially 2001 Space Odyssey, the one thing that's gonna really caught your eye, it's going to be the color correction, the color. I don't remember seeing this movie in this type of color and this type of bitrate and clean bitrate than on this disc. You know, this is something you have to own. I don't care if you have to, you know, wait for it like, I don't know, 100 days or 200 days or 2 years or 3 years. You need to get this. This is a collector's item. This is something you need to own. You need to go and buy this movie. You need to own it. This is a collector's item, and you need to have this. Okay. Let me show you one more clip, one more scene, then we're going to jump into what type of settings I'm using for Dolby Vision. Even though I think I already did this, I already explained to you what type of Dolby Vision settings I'm using on the OLED, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to explain it to you anyway, again. And I'm going to show it to you again. This is simply stunning, you know. The way you see the stars in the background, considering how old this movie is, no CGI. You know, this movie was really ahead of its time. Imagine how people felt when they saw this movie in late 60s. Even right now, I'm still amazed, and I still can't figure out like some of the scenes and how he filmed it and how he did it, how Stanley Kubrick did this. You know, both Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick, they take the credit. You know, this is based on the Arthur C. Clarke novel, 2001 Space Odyssey. And then, you know, actually, as a matter of fact, guys, the first movie that I saw on television, before I've seen E.T. in the movie theaters, the first movie I saw on the television was this movie. Like when I opened my eyes and the first time I saw a television, I saw this movie. 2001 Space Odyssey. Like this was the first movie I saw. The first movie cinema experience in the theaters was E.T. That was like my first introduction to Steven Spielberg, obviously, and of course the Stanley Kubrick here. And these two directors are just legendary in its own legacy. But especially this movie, there's something about 2001 Space Odyssey that what Stanley Kubrick has created here, it is like timeless. It is like, it is a monolith. The entire movie is a monolith. It is such a phenomenon that it's like a movie that's like forever. Okay, so let's cover the settings. Let's talk about Dolby Vision and what type of settings I'm using for this movie in terms of Dolby Vision. Alright, so I got my Magic Controller from the LG. So, here we go. Cinema Home. This is what I'm using, guys. Cinema Home. It's what I'm using for Dolby Vision. And I'm going to show you what Cinema Home consists of on Dolby Vision. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, I thought you're going to use your own custom picture settings. Guys, the Dolby Vision Cinema Home mode preset, it's so good that there's no reason for me to mess around with the settings that LG has already calibrated. This is already calibrated by LG. LG has already calibrated Cinema Home for the OLED to be the best possible Dolby Vision experience on this panel. So why would I want to mess around with that? But let me show you what Cinema Home consists of. And here's the tricky part. This is the question that people have been asking me. Hey, Mr. 4K, but why is the OLED light at 50? Aren't the HDR supposed to be at 100? Well, that's HDR. That's high dynamic range. Dolby Vision, it's a different beast. Dolby Vision, it's encoded at a higher bit color. It's encoded to take even higher, brighter peak of nits. So for the OLED, this format, this dynamic metadata, it's already bright enough. There's no reason for you to be pushing that OLED light to 100. Because if you push this OLED light to 100, then you're going to be crushing or overblowing your digital white levels. What does that mean? That means that these stars, they're going to be overblown. That the clouds over here are going to be overblown, and you're not going to be able to tell a difference between the Arctic and the blue ocean. Okay? So there's a reason why you want the OLED light to be at the 50. Contrast. Hold on. My bad. Contrast has to be at 100. This is the preset that Cinema Home Dolby Vision consists of. Contrast has to be at the 100. So you can take the advantage of the Dolby Vision. Brightness at 50. And honestly, doesn't matter what format you are watching. Your brightness for the OLED should always be at 50. Why? Because the reason you have this TV, it's because this is like the best digital black levels. That's why you bought this TV. It has the best digital black levels. Sharpness is at 20, which I think it's a perfect sweet spot. And if you look at these settings, even from LG professional calibrating standards, I'm not that far off. My settings are really not that far off from what the LG is doing and from what the other professional calibrators are doing. I'm really not that far off. If you look at some of my settings, guys, I have 4,000 videos. I know I'm repeating this like a broken record, but I have 4,000 videos. Those videos are out there. People always ask me what settings should I use for this and that. And I'm like, dude, are you too lazy to type in on a keyboard, to type in on a YouTube to search my name with KS8000, OLED, C6, B6, Sony X900E? There's a reason why I have those videos. They're there so you can go ahead and use those settings. That's why those videos are there. That's why I have them. But you need to search my name with the model TV number that you want to look for those settings. Color at 50. Of course you want the color at 50. Why would you move the color anywhere but 50? You want it to be at the threshold. Why? Because you already have Dolby Vision. You got the best possible color bit here. The best possible color you can get. So leave it at 50. And remember, in majority of my videos, my color is at 50. I don't oversaturate nothing. And of course, OLED light at 50, you know that. So in a nutshell, this is what Dolby Vision Cinema Home consists of. OLED light 50, contrast 100, brightness 50, sharpness 20, color 50. Let's jump to the expert controls. Dynamic contrast is off. Super resolution, it's low. Now, why dynamic contrast is off? The reason it's off because you already have Dolby Vision. No reason for you to be cranking up that dynamic contrast, because if you crank up that dynamic contrast, remember, you are going to be overblowing your digital white levels. Let's see what the picture options consist of. We got noise reduction at low. We got MPEG noise reduction at low. True motion, it's clear. Now this is something that it's optional. Let me tell you, the Alpha 9 chip here, LG OLED Alpha Processing 9 chip, has really amazing motion flow. Honestly, it's one of the best I have ever seen. And yeah, it's even better than Samsung. I'm telling you right now. And I'm sure my friend Luke M Tech and even Howdy, they can confirm on that. That has one of the best motion flow that I have seen on a television, period. So this is optional, but I mean, I would keep it on clear. Clear, you're barely going to see any judder. You're barely going to see any blur or judder on the moving picture motion. So I would leave it on clear. So these are the settings I'm using, and these are perfect. I mean, for the HDR, honestly, guys, this is what you want. You want Dolby Vision, picture mode, Cinema Home. I have tried the other ones. I have tried the Expert, There's the expert HDR mode. There's the expert Dolby Vision mode. But for me personally, Cinema Home, it's honestly the best. Like this is what I'm using for Dolby Vision. Looks perfect for this movie. Looks perfect for Saving Private Ryan, Transformers: The Last Night. As a matter of fact, I need to test Transformers: The Last Night on my OLED. Also, I need to bring you some more Aquaman on this OLED television. I mean, it looks beautiful. So these are the settings I'm using. And the end results, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yes, I dare use the word perfect. And look at this stunning result right here. Look. Just looks, it's almost like three-dimensional, honestly. It looks as if, like, honestly, it's like three-dimensional. Look at that. Like, my remote control can just dive right into it. It looks three-dimensional. Look at that. Three-dimensional. This is what me, Look MTech, Mr. Struders, Howdy, what, Mario, this is what we're talking about when we talk about the OLED. And some people don't seem to get it. Some people don't seem to understand. There's a reason why Ridley Scott says great things about the OLED. Not because he needs the money from the LG. He's a very successful film director, man. Do you really think he needs money from LG? Do you really think he needs it? No, he doesn't, dude. The reason he says it because Ridley Scott is a fan of advanced technology, good technology. That's why he loves red cameras, because the red cameras give him the best possible picture quality on his movies. And the reason he spoke about the OLED, it's because his movies just look better on the OLED. And movies do look better on the OLED. It's just not me saying this. Ridley Scott saying it. Francis Ford Coppola saying it. There's some other people out there who's saying it. Other filmmakers. Now, some filmmakers, they choose not to voice their opinion. That's their choice, you know. But I'll take a recommendation from somebody who's been filming movies for 40 years, Ridley Scott, you know. So, yeah. And I don't know what else I can say that I haven't already said about this movie. It's a masterpiece, you know. If you never seen 2001 Space Odyssey, like, dude, you owe it to yourself to see it. You know. Now, I would recommend that you see this movie on a projector, if possible. Like, see it on a projector. If you have a 4K projector, or even if you don't have a 4K projector, even if you have just a 1080p projector, still watching this movie for the first time on a big screen, it's the way to experience it, you know what I mean? But if you don't have a projector, if you have 65-inch television or 65 OLED or 65-inch QLED, doesn't really matter. You're still gonna appreciate this movie, you know. So there you have it. This is the LG OLED. I'm using Dolby Vision Home Cinema, and I honestly don't bother using anything other than Dolby Vision Home Cinema. Now, on the HDR, I use Expert HDR mode. For the HDR movies, I use HDR Expert HDR mode. For Dolby Vision, I use Dolby Vision Home Cinema. You know, I might actually show you, actually on Alien, I use the Expert. The reason why it looks so good on the OLED with the Alien is because I'm using the Expert HDR mode. And the Expert 1 HDR mode, it's really, was it Expert? No, actually it was Technicolor. I'm sorry, Technicolor, Expert Technicolor. I'm sorry, guys. I'm using the Technicolor Expert HDR mode on the OLED. I might do a video tomorrow. I'm going to show you what I'm using for the Alien, what I'm using for the HDR on that movie. I'm using the Expert Technicolor. Expert Technicolor. So I'm sorry, guys. Dolby Vision doesn't have a Technicolor. It only has Dolby Vision Home Cinema mode, and I believe there's a Home Cinema Pro or something, but I think the Home Cinema is the one that I really like for Dolby Vision. So this is the one that I'm using. Again, I don't look nothing further than this. Dolby Vision Cinema Home. This is what I recommend, and this is what you should use. Period. You shouldn't bother looking for nothing other than this. Alright, well there you have it. This video has been 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes I think I covered everything there is to cover about 2001 A Space Odyssey. So yes, of course I'm using Oppo. They're the best 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player. The best player ever made. Period. There's nothing better, guys. If there was something better, I would tell you. This is the best. When you have the best of the best, you're going to get the best experience. You get what you pay for. It's that simple. Alright guys, well there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And remember, these are my own opinions. I'm not saying that you need to use all the time Cinema Home. You can use whatever settings you want to use. The reason you're watching this video is because you want to see what my taste is. You want to see what my preference is. There you go. That's a good quote. The reason you're watching my channel because you want to see what my preference is. I'm not here to tell you you have to use this. I'm here to share my preference. How about that? There you go. Alright guys, well, thank you for watching. There might be a live stream. No, there will be a live stream tomorrow. 100% sure. Mortal Kombat 11. We'll do Mortal Kombat 11 tomorrow. And then we're going to do Days Gone after that. So we'll have plenty of live stream tomorrow, man. Plenty of live streams tomorrow. Alright? There you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. Go and buy this movie, man. This movie's in shortage. No, this movie is difficult to find. I'm telling you, guys. This movie, it's super duper difficult to find. It took me a long time to get this Space Odyssey 2001 Collector's Edition. It took me a lot. I had to wait 2 months before I got it. 2 months. I think 2.5 months. When I think about it, it's close to 3 months. Since January. Dude. So it's longer than, it's like 4 months. Since January, mid-January. 4 months. That's how long it took me to get this movie, because this movie is very difficult to get, and there's a reason for it. Because this is a collector's item. This is the classic masterpiece. It's like a Mona Lisa painting or something. So you know you want to have this. You want to own a movie like 2001: Space Odyssey, movie like Alien, movies like Aliens, Terminator 2, stuff like that. You just want to buy. Matrix, you know, this is something you need to own. Well, there you have it. I hope you guys liked this video, and I'll see you tomorrow. And who says that I don't bring you content? Who says I don't bring the content? I bring variety of comedy, of real talk, a little bit of everything. Something for everyone to enjoy. Kind of like home box office, isn't it? Alright guys, have a good one though. Take care. Love you all. Be good.